Put my chair up. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I'm finally live. I'm a little late. My apologies. This is an unusually technically difficult episode, and you'll see why. Good morning. Thank you for tuning in. Please share. Please comment. Make fun of me for being late. Tell jokes. I am Sean Brown, the Urban Disruptor, and this is my Sunday morning show, Urban Disruptors Weekly Wrap-Up. Please, if you're watching this, share this with your friends and family so that they can see this too. I think you guys are absolutely love this episode and what is discussed in it. I'm gonna my head is down just because I'm sharing this, as you might be able to hear now, so that we can get as many eyes on it as possible. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope that you are healthy and happy. Hope that all is well with you. Please share this. Please watch this. There is a lot of, I think, cool information that we're going to go over today. We're going to talk about the election results. We're going to talk about other news of which is going on in our city. We're going to talk about the 2021 election for mayor, and I'm going to give you what my predictions are of the people that might run. It is, I think a lot of us are in a good mood because of the results of the presidential election, at least for those that supported Joe Biden or maybe are just anti-Trump. But I am the pragmatist that I am. I'm thinking also about the 2021 election and who's going to run for that, which we're going to get into today. So please share this. Make sure your friends and family are watching. Make sure everybody knows the Urban Disruptors. Ooh, I just hit my hand. I gotta be gentle with the good hand. I can't be messing this one up. All right, let me get right into it. There's no guest today because I'm going to go through some heavy data. But feel free to put. I'm happy to read your comments and answer your questions. We're gonna get right into it. So I'm gonna just start by sharing some news of things that have happened recently, and let's get into it. All right. So, man accused of fatally shooting 74-year-old woman arrested in Delaware, police say. So as you may remember, some of these young gangsters have lost their minds, and I think that's technically the Liberty Park section, but or it might be Centerville. But a young man was arrested, 23 years old, was arrested for shooting and killing Miss Sheila Baskin, 74 years old. They were trying to get the guy there after, like, out of the house and to lure him out. They shot and killed his grandma. They found this guy in Delaware hiding. And this is a case that I think is really bothering a lot of us. But I think even when we talk a little bit later about the election for mayor, when we talk about election of Joe Biden, I think we must put it in the context of what are we doing about some of these huge issues and problems that we have in our community with violence, things like that. I'm going to do something I haven't done before, although maybe I should have, which is I'm going to go live from Instagram as well. IMD does this, and if IMD can do it, I can do it too. Get this set up real quick. All right. So I pray for that lady's family. I pray for his family as well. It's a terrible situation. All right, next. South Jersey Observer. I'm not really familiar with this news source, but Volunteers of America Delaware Valley provides comprehensive re-entry for homeless navigation services and supports individuals re-entering society after incarceration. So as you guys may remember, hundreds of people were let out of prison last week, Wednesday, the day after Election Day. A whole bunch of people were let out because of COVID-19. The governor The governor of New Jersey signed a law that allowed there to be a formula to determine who gets let out. They had to have served a certain amount of their prison sentence and all that. But anyway, they were let out. Some people from their academy actually met these people in front of halfway houses or at bus stops as they got home from prison. There is some debate on who should be responsible, who should have control, who should have a say or a voice in what's going on related to the services that people get, who provides those services, how our families contacted. We want to wish everyone returning home from prison. I hope that you are coming into a safe environment, a clean environment, a supportive environment. And we have to encourage everybody that's home and home to stay away from the negative influences that may have pushed them into prison. And we have to make them feel welcome and loved in their community, in our community, because there'll be way more. There's going to be a lot more coming. All right, next. Young Camden leader. I used to have that title. Young Camden leader champions what students can contribute to her city by Stephen Rodas, one of the great reporters that covers the city of Camden. So here is, I call her Shay, Shanila Johnson, founder of Leaders of a Beautiful Struggle. Shanila Johnson, 22, has faced her own trials recently. She was admitted to Cooper and subsequently to a psychiatric facility for bipolar disorder, which she has dealt with for years. I was just really, really overwhelmed taking so many credits and with everything happening during the pandemic. With bipolar disorder, it's a mood disorder, so you can have extreme lows with depression and extreme highs, which are mania. So she's describing her mental health. Shay, I know you. I appreciate you sharing your story, your struggle with the media, with the community, because I think this is the kind of thing that can help a lot of people. She says, very much character to channel different experiences. It's the very foundation for a nonprofit. The school I was at was a predominantly white institution. I felt alone in many aspects of my day to day. I did not make friends in my sophomore year. So anyway, she talks here about her college experience, the organization that she started, her partnership with Joshua Sims, one of my favorite young people from the city who goes to Cornell. This is a great story. You can click their link here, and this is their Instagram, and this is just where you can get some more information. Shay, I don't know if she still lives there. She used to live across the street from my former intern, Tamir Branch. Shout out to Tamir and all the great things you're doing. You now graduated from college. You went to school right here in this building. All right, next. 2 Camden firefighters sustained back injuries while battling a blaze. 2-alarm fire on the 500 block of Royden Street is still under investigation. Firefighters were hurt. There's not a lot of information in here. Here is a video. Look at that fire blazing. Wow. Okay, so we want to pray for the healthy recovery, the quick and healthy recovery of those firefighters. We appreciate your service and the contributions that you give to our community. COVID is going up. I'm just going to make that real simple. COVID is going up. I keep finding out about people who have died from COVID, which is not good. Oh, is that you, Shay? Oh, look at that. Hey, how's it going? Shay, look at that. Shay's watching us on Instagram. Okay. She said, funny, I just got on. And, there's no such thing as a coincidence. Remember that. The universe is connected in all sorts of ways. All right. Mighty Writers generosity only grows in Camden. Mighty Writers is a great organization. They are in South Camden, also known as 6th and Ferry on Broadway. They are a writing program for young people, but they do a little bit more than that. So this article also written by Stephen Rodas. Diapers, baby formula, books, groceries. By the way, I did a whole episode on social services. I interviewed Keisha Montgomery, Tone Henshaw, Ebony Henson, and Andrea Almitri. Andrea and Ebony work for the school district. Keisha works for Nurse Family Partnership, and Tone runs a justice works with partners to run a justice program here. So if you are following this, go to my Facebook page, Urban Disruptors Weekly Wrap Up, and you can find I did it on October 31st. So watch the episode, share it to find out more about the social service programs that are available and websites that can help you if you're struggling with housing insecurity or food insecurity, especially. Anyway, you can read this article for more information about both what Mighty Writers' work is and also what they're doing every day to help people make sure that they have food and aren't hungry. All right, next. That's it for the news because I want to spend a lot of time. Going through the election results. So I want to. All right, guys, you're gonna have to see some sausage making right now. I am. Okay, I know how to do this. This is one of the reasons I'm late because I was trying to figure out what is the best way. What is the best way to share this? And the best way is to share this. I'm going to show you. Bear with me for a second. While you're bearing with me, please share this video. We're going to get into first the election results from the last election, and then I'm going to talk about the next election and all of the things that concern me related to that. What's the name of the there's so many of these. What's the name of the Google program where I can draw on it? Anybody know? Can anybody help me out here? Maybe you want to put it in the comments or something? Because Google has changed and even this website looks different. It's the one, what is it? Hold on, guys. Wait a second. This is going to hit me. So I'm going to show you. Hey, good morning. What's up? What's going on? I'm going to get into who might run for mayor, and also talk about the election results. All right, I can't figure that out. So let me, instead of wasting that time, let me just do this. All right, so let's control plus this so it's bigger. All right. So here we are. Let me see if I can move. I wanted to do this on a whiteboard, but I have a lot going on and I didn't have time to organize it. But this is good enough to make the point. Okay. Not really. Let's see if I X this. See if I put this in the paint. I know this is kind of driving me crazy because I want to make sure I show you this the right way. This is actually, I would say, fairly important. For some reason, it's not letting me. All right, so see, this is the in the sausage making. It should be letting me paste that document into Paint so I can draw on it, but it's not letting me do that. Now there is, like I said, there's another program that I can use, and I can't think of what it's called. Oh, drawings. Here it is. I found it. Okay. Woo! Here we go. This is worth it. Believe me, it's worth the wait. Okay, here we go. Now, all right. Except that shouldn't look like that. All right, so this is like, I feel like this is kind of still not cooperating because here's my drawing, and now I should be able to, oh, that's because I'm not clicking the right thing. I should be able to draw on here, free form. Okay. All right, well, whatever. Right now, I just need a line. Okay. So here is the magic number right here. This is what I wanted to show you guys. And if you are in the Democratic Party and active, please watch and pay attention. If you are in the so-called opposition, please watch and pay attention. I think this is actually pretty critical information, and I don't know if anybody else is going to tell you this, but I'm going to tell you. So if you're watching on Instagram, well, when the numbers come up, I'll show you the screen. So what this shows is these are the election results. All right, let me back up. Because of this is a different type of election this year than it usually is. I'm gonna come back to that. I'm gonna come back to this in a second. Because this is a different election than it differently is. Oh, thank you. I I'm just seeing the comments. Good morning, Kenise, and to everyone else that's watching. Aaron, thank you for tuning in. Both firefighters are home safe. One is back to work already. That is great. Kenise, you mean Canva? Kenise, I can't draw on Canva the way I want to. I can't draw on Canva the way you're going to see what I'm trying to do. Really the best way to do it is on a whiteboard with a marker. That's the simplest way. But anyway, nonetheless. All right. The results from the election are not presented by the county this year as they have been every other year. So I don't know how many people voted for Trump versus Biden in the city of Camden yet. I don't know if Parkside continued its legacy of being the top, having the highest turnout. If North Camden continued its legacy of having the lowest turnout. I'm not sure because we haven't seen those numbers yet. So week by week, I'll be analyzing the information that we have. But the information that we do have is how many people voted for school board candidates. And that's what I'm about to go over. So there were 7 people that ran. 3 of them were endorsed by the Camden City Democratic Party. 3 of them were endorsed by the City and State Teachers Union, the CEA and the NJEA. And 1 person ran kind of alone. And now I'm going to dig in and show you exactly what we can learn from these numbers and what lessons that it should be applied for future campaigns. So what you see here is I took the numbers and I made this chart. Wasim Muhammad had the most votes, over a little bit over 6,000, couple hundred over 6,000. Clinton Gonzalez was in 2nd place and Karen Merrick's was in 3rd place with really, and this doesn't count all the votes that have come in yet, but like 1,000 vote difference. And I'm going to tell you why I think that 1,000. One, I'm going to tell you why I think that 1,000 vote difference exists, and 2, I'm going to tell you why it's very, very important. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one here, but yeah, I should be over here. Okay, so I'm going to tell you why I think this gap is important and what it means. So I'm going to put this spaced here. So I remember to go back to this, and I also drew a red line. So this red line is really, I'm showing that if you run for office in opposition to the Democratic Party, if you run for office in opposition to the Democratic Party endorsement, then there's a certain amount of votes that you can get. And we know how many votes that is. So what we see here is there are about 2,800 people who voted, but not for the endorsed candidate. All right. We do not know the total turnout yet for this election for president. My guess is in Camden, around 18,000 people voted. I don't know the exact number, which means that a lot of people voted for president. We knew this already. A lot of people voted for president that did not vote for any other position on the ballot. So you might see, from Camden, let's say Joe Biden could have gotten, or 20,000 people may have voted for president that voted by mail or showed up to vote by provisional on election day. But I should add these numbers up. So the highest vote getter. So you're going to add 3,000 plus 6,000. That's 9,000. So about 10,000, 11,000 people probably. We don't know for sure voted for school board. So about half the people that voted for president voted for school board. This makes sense for a few reasons. One, over half of the children in Camden do not go to district schools. So some people feel they don't have a reason to vote for school board because it doesn't affect their children. All right. I don't necessarily agree with that, but it is a way of thinking. Also, the ballot is designed. Some people may not know that there was a school board election. So they may have forgotten to vote for that, just like you had to flip the paper over to vote for the constitutional questions. The third phenomenon that we may see is people just they don't watch the show. They didn't read Stephen Rodas's articles, so they may just not know who to vote for, and because of that, they just decided not to vote at all. All right, so these numbers aren't surprising at all in many ways, and I'm going to go through it left to right, and let's do it this way. Let's go left to right and then top to bottom. So if you do this left to right, here I'm gonna help you guys. I'm gonna help you guys out here on Instagram. If you look at this left to right, you see that Wasim Muhammad got the most votes. I'll explain that box in a second. Karen Merrick's she won, but she got the least of the winners. And Clayton Gonzalez had the the second most votes. What we see here is that the number that Karen got for the most part is what anyone endorsed by the Camden City Democratic Party will get. The Camden City Democratic Party mails things to people, and there are thousands of people, many of which are over 50 years old in Camden, that will vote in every single election. They take pride. They've been doing it for years, maybe since they were 18 or 21 years old. They vote in every single election, and they are proud to be Democrats and vote for whoever the Democratic Party endorses. Now, some people say that when you run within the Democratic Party, you're with the machine. I've said this many times. I don't look at it the same way. There's a formal group of people, many of which are elected, whose job it is to support the Democratic Party and candidates of which the party endorses. What Wasim did was Wasim Muhammad has name recognition from the time that he was a basketball player as a student in Camden High, and then he was a teacher at Hatch when he was still Donnie Walker. He went away a couple years, came back as Minister Wasim Muhammad, and in that whole time, like when he ran the bar headquarters on Mount Ephraim Avenue and other things that he's done, that whole time he's built up a reputation for himself, name recognition. He befriended Novella Henson and Dana Red when Dana and Novella were co-mayors of Camden. He continued that and has been loyal to Frank Moran, and Frank reappointed him to the school board. This year his seat was up, so he had to run for school board. So what we know in Camden is that we, as a city and as an electorate, as a group of voters, the city likes athletes. Victor Karstarford, I'm going to talk about him a little bit later, former athlete. In fact, he played basketball with Wasim Muhammad. Arthur Barclay, who played basketball with DeJuan Wagner, was elected to city council and then the assembly. We have a history of making our former athletes into icons, and then some of those athletes are pushed into or having a lure to politics and become endorsed, and that's the way it goes. Clayton, also popular in his own way. Clayton is an event goer. He has a nice personality. He pounded pavement in the Puerto Rican and Dominican community very aggressively. He learned a lot of lessons from Falio's success. I think Falio got plenty of his own votes that so what we see in every election is that there's a cap. So I drew a line here, but I could just as easily put a line here to show that there is a certain amount of votes that as a candidate you have to get yourself. That's by door knocking. That's by making phone calls, sending text messages, getting your friends and family to get the word out of who it is. All right. So Wasim, Karen, and Clayton, they won. Let me tell you, especially you, Clayton, because I have very high expectations of you. You too, Karen. It's very important that the most important, Karen, you're already on the school board. Clayton, you're not. Wasim, you're the president of it. And if Minister Wasim hasn't figured this out yet, I don't think he will. It is an advisory board. That means you do not have the power of a vote for yes or no. That means when you persuade people to go along your way to see your vision with public education, it's not because they need your vote. That means you have to have legitimate connections in the community. You have to be fully aware of where the school district is right now, the needs and demands that students have and teachers for a great education, and figure out how can you use your non-voting self, your advisory board status, to influence Superintendent McCombs, the central office staff, principals, teachers, community partners, and mostly students and parents to be absolutely dedicated and devoted to their education. That's what this is about. And frankly, when I read the literature that all 7 candidates put out, with 1 or 2 exceptions, I'm not sure exactly what the education vision is within the true power that they have. Now, see, I learned when I was on the school board, my first year on the school board, I sometimes didn't even get a second on a motion because certain people on the school board didn't like me. That's fine. It's understandable. It happens. So I had to figure out, well, how do I actually, what's my way in? How do I actually be able to work within a system that might be dysfunctional, but work within the system and actually create long lasting change? And I was successful in doing it. Not only was I successful, with the exception of possibly Jose Delgado, I was probably the most successful school board member in pushing ideas that became policy, that became action. And to this day, when you look at the grade scale for students, how there's where an A starts, where B starts, when you look at the nutrition policy that the district has, when you look at the community service requirement that's attached to graduation requirements, these are things that I pushed when I was on the school board and that survived Dr. Young, Paymon, and now Katrina, and are still around. And to make sure they stay around, I'm on the phone sometimes. I'm sending emails occasionally. I'm posting things on social media to keep the pressure on and remind everybody the value and importance that we have of what's going on. Gifted and Talented program is another example, right? Some of these programs wouldn't exist if I didn't advocate for it. And I'm not saying this to brag. I'm saying this to Wasim, Karen, and Clayton. I expect to see the same thing from you. Because right now, Falio can look at that school district and he can point a finger and say, this is going on, or this is better because of my advocacy. So can Ellen. So can Naima. So can Namdi. And this is what I call upon you as well. So congratulations for winning, but the work must continue. Wasim, Karen, you're already there. Clayton, read up, study, talk to me, and stop. And Clayton, I'm gonna tell you this to you. I'm gonna tell you this through the camera. What I liked about you by being your friend on social media and meeting you for the first few times was your independent political spirit. Do not feel a need to get on your knees or bow down to any of these politicians who supposedly helped you, because you know how much support you had and you know how much support you didn't have. And yesterday's birthday boy is the one that really put a lot of work in to support what you had going on. But other than him, I'm not sure how helpful a lot of these people were. The Whip Wilson team, I don't even know what that is. And I hope that's not true. I hope somebody said Whip Wilson team to Karen, Clayton, and Wasim. You guys were like, oh, no, I don't know. I don't think so. Not really. But, you know, when people win, they get arrogant. You think that because you win, that means you have a good strategy, and that means you've been empowered to do whatever you want. Not the case. I want to see that independent political spirit that I liked, and I don't want to see people who feel like they need to do whatever people want, even though they don't even know who these people are. Because I know firsthand, I know exactly who behind the scenes is pushing for our children in Camden to have a better education. And not with open platitudes, but with specific things related to curriculum, instruction, teacher empowerment, student empowerment. And I'm gonna tell you something that everybody knows, that most of these politicians, most of these elected officials, they don't have an agenda, they're unaware, they don't know, and they might show up to a press conference and they may smile and they may be respectful and polite people, but when it comes to actually making sure that thousands and thousands of children, of students in our city get a better education, whether they go to a district school, Renaissance school, or charter school, private school, or public school, whether they're in kindergarten or 12th grade, there are not enough people who are standing up to make sure they're getting a good education. So I call upon you winners to do that. And I also call upon the people that didn't win. Kevin, Aaron, Janelle, Theo. Theo and Janelle specifically, do not become serial candidates where you just keep running for office year after year. What are you doing between that time period? Janelle, you're teaching. You show up to meetings. Theo, what are you doing? I put your name on the list of people that might run for mayor because you run for office every year and you lose. It's done. Stop it. Not enough people are going to support you. If you haven't figured out how to be a better candidate by now, you're not going to figure it out. Clear the pathway for other people, or stop taking away votes from other people who actually have a chance of winning. That's arrogance and it's ego, and it must be checked. My friends and my enemies, they check my ego, and I'm going to use this as a platform, as an urban disruptor, to say, Theo, please don't run for office anymore. You're an intelligent guy. That's great. Please don't run for office anymore. Please don't run. The voters don't support you. The numbers don't lie. Kevin, congratulations for running. You, Aaron, and Janelle, you guys ran as a team. I want to talk about these numbers. About 2,800 people voted for Kevin, Aaron, and Janelle. And as I said this earlier, and I'm gonna say this again. This shows you how many anti-establishment or anti-party people we have. A lot of people that don't like politics or the way things are, they just decide not to vote at all. But for those that actually decide to participate and to vote, when you look at these numbers, it tells us 2,800 people are anti-establishment, right? Which is about half the amount of people who are for the establishment, who are for the Democratic Party endorsed candidates. Kevin, Aaron, and Janelle did not run a great campaign. And I know this because when I go out to the community and I say, hey, who do you think about voting for school board? They're like, oh, there's another election this year? Yes, there is. Your signs were the same colors as, were they the same color? No, they weren't. I'm sorry. They weren't the same color. But they were red, white, and blue. All right. But the signs were okay. But you guys, you gotta pick up the phone and call people and ask for a vote. You got to text people. You got to knock on doors. And as I say this to you, I don't even necessarily know if I would even agree with your positions on the school board, because I love our district schools, but they are struggling. And if you don't have a vision, if you don't have a message to make sure that teachers are empowered and students are learning more, whether it's remotely or in the classroom, how can anyone really truly stand behind that? It's not enough to be against the establishment. Uncommon has possibly the best curriculum in the United States of America. I don't like the way they discipline students. I don't like their class. Some of their classroom norms are great. A few others, I would say, not so much. So, with this said, look at the numbers. There's a little bit to tell about these 2,800 people that voted for them. We need to figure out who they are, what they care about, and how do we create a coalition where people within the Democratic establishment and people outside the Democratic establishment can come together, whether it's for politics or whatever, to actually make change in our community. With that said, it's 10:50. I am going to move on to, let's see what these comments are. Okay. I'm going to move on to who might run for mayor, and I want to walk you through that. So I put this on Facebook earlier. Hi, everybody that is watching on Instagram. I appreciate it. I put this on Instagram earlier, and I'm going to just talk you through who might run for mayor. I'm going to tell you why I think these people may run and what we should think about in terms of their candidacy. Okay. All right. Let me get my image to share. By the way, these I just got on Facebook and I see what's you conservative, you somewhat, I don't even know if I should call you conservative. You Republicans or Trump supporters or whatever, you're delusional. I'm gonna help you out. You're delusional. Unless you're rich, like very rich. I don't really get it. There ain't all the as my mom said, there ain't all the racism in the world for this. All right, here we go. Okay. Give me your comments, ask me your questions. If you don't agree with my analysis, if you think it's goofy, it's silly, it's uncalled for, just let me know. I am trying my best to be a good listener. So here we are. Who might run? Who might run? If you're watching on Instagram here, I'm gonna help you out. Who might run for mayor? This is in alphabetical order, so I will go in alphabetical order as I give my feedback for each person. So Vikar Starfin. Vikar Starfin is on the list as a person that may run. Well, let me back up. Actually, let me give you a little bit of insight. So every 4 years, there's an election for mayor, And 3 of the 7 seats for city council, those 3 seats are known as at large, as in everyone in Camden votes for these 3 people. Whereas 2 years ago and 2 years in 2023, the ward seats are up. The council ward seats, the first ward, second ward, third ward, fourth ward. First ward is Shanika. Second ward is Vic, who I'm about to talk about. Third ward is Marilyn Torres, and fourth ward is Felicia Reyes Morton, who's been a former guest on this show. All right, so number 1, Councilman Vic Karstafen. The reason his name was on the list is because Vic Karstafen had a fairly easy campaign in the second ward, and he won. He is very popular because of his father was a world-renowned and respected musician. Victor himself was a star basketball player when he played for Camden High School, and he is now a successful businessman. He's an accountant. Vic has I would say, professional, calm demeanor. I've never known him to really talk bad about people. He behind the scenes, he has some insightful questions as he digs into things. But the thing is, Vic is popular. And he's not on city council necessarily because of his expertise in government and politics. He's on there for other reasons. And for that, I think that he may run for mayor. I'm not on all these people. I'm not going to necessarily say if I think it's a good or bad idea, although I might not be able to hide my views on it. But Vic is definitely on my list of possible contestants. Next, Councilwoman Sheila Davis. So Sheila Davis is also currently on council. She is an at-large seat. So she ran 4 years ago with then Councilman Frank Moran, now Mayor Frank Moran. She ran with Angel Fuentes and Curtis Jenkins. Sheila lives downtown Camden. She's been active in her neighborhood association, and she shows up to people's things. She shakes hands. She kisses babies. She shares things on social media. She defends people, including myself, from time to time. Sheila at times goes against the grain, as the phrase goes, within the party. Sometimes she goes with certain things. Sometimes she's against certain things. Sometimes she votes no. Sometimes she votes yes. So she may run. I don't know. Again, I don't know if she's going to run or not. She may not know, but she's on the list as a possible person. Next, Angel Fuentes. Angel Fuentes is on the list because Angel Fuentes wants to be mayor. He's been wanting to be mayor since the 90s. And if you look how he and Whip Wilson went after the petitioners who tried to get us to a nonpartisan election, so that because all these people that run are going to have to run as either Democrats in a primary, which is in the first week of June election, and then run again in the general in November, or run as independents. I guess somebody could conceivably run as a Republican, although I don't know why they would do that. That would not be a successful campaign. That would be destined to fail. Anyway, Councilman Angel Fuentes. He's been in government for 20, where are we at? About 35 years, 36 years. He and Moran and Dana Red, they all kind of grew up in the party together. Look, Angel Fuentes, he's a councilman, he used to be council president, he used to be assemblyman. I wish I could tell you about some big accomplishments he's had in those 25 years, but none actually come to mind right now. If you guys can think of anything significant Angel Fuentes has done in the last 25 years, please just let me know in the comments, and forgive me for forgetting. However, I do read every newspaper article comes out about Camden. I've gone to hundreds of city council meetings. I'm a featured guest speaker that talks about public policy issues related to the city. I know all of the elected officials. I have all their cell phone numbers and email addresses. But for the life of me, I just can't think of anything significant Angel has done. Okay, next, Reverend Amir Khan. Amir Khan is a reverend. He's a former pastor when he had a church. Amir Khan is from Camden. And there's whispers he may run for mayor, which makes me think he recently may have moved to Camden from his Voorhees house. He ran for mayor in 2013. And he's pretty active. Now, my favorite thing about Amir Khan is what he does with the people that are suffering from drug addiction downtown. helping them get food and services and ministering to them. He also has a lot of connections throughout the state, including people who have direct lines to the governor's office. Amir is controversial. There are things I like about him, and there are certainly things to dislike about him. He has his name recognition, I would say, is pretty high, but his likability is moderate at best. I don't know how he's going to be able to. I mean, if he runs, I just don't know how he's going to be able to raise money. I'm not sure who these donors are going to be. I'm not sure how many people are going to support him. I hope people aren't going around saying, well, if it's not Amir, who else? Because there are other good people, including people not on this list, that could possibly run. The thing that concerns me about Amir winning is that although he does have a good relationship with the governor's office, he has irritated elected officials in both the city and county so bad that in the unlikely chance that he wins, I'm not sure how successful he can be in governing, because these people aren't going to want an outsider in and just let them govern and things being the way they are. So, but we'll see. Okay. Sorry, camera moved. Is my angle still good? Okay, yeah, it's good. All right. Okay, next. Oh, any comments on here? Yeah, give me your comments. Let me know what you think of this list. The current mayor, Frank Moran. Frank Moran may run. Here's the thing about Frank Moran. Of course, his name was on the list because he's the current mayor, and you know he is very likely to run for re-election. Frank is boring. Like Dana, I didn't agree with all the time. First, she appointed me to the school board, so you know, thank you for that, Mayor Dana Red. And Dana was always on message. So she gave the same speech. She read off a piece of paper. She stayed on message. But I guess it was more exciting because even if I disagree with her, there was things going on. There were buildings going up. You know, there were hundreds of people being laid off. Like things were happening. Like so her activities kept me engaged and excited about politics. With Frank Moran, he gets himself into scuffles with the community, almost like and I think some of these people might even be setting him up. But with the Black Lives Matter mural, the Christopher Columbus statue, just the situation with the comments that Councilwoman Felicia Reyes Morton made, like on controversial issue after issue, he's silent. He doesn't have anything to say. Or Vince, who's not a great spokesperson at all, says something that is so benign that who can even remember what it is. I don't get the sense that Frank has brilliant people who understand local government, public policy in his office or on his own team, which is why, you know, you see way more good policy and activities coming out of Cooper's Ferry than you do from the fourth floor of the mayor's office. I know everybody that works on his team. Well, I don't know everybody. I know most of the people that work on his team. I think some of them are beautiful, wonderful, kind, respectful, hardworking people. And I've said this before. I'm not speaking to their character at all. But I think what's missing is a lack of true public policy to address our biggest issues: drug addiction, violence and crime, housing, education, the physical and built environment, environmental concerns. On issue after issue of importance, I have no idea where Frank Moran stands on the issue. And sometimes when I do know where he stands on the issue, I completely disagree with his rationale, with his thinking, and his decision making. But this is what happens when people get endorsed by the Democratic Party and not enough people participate, because there are no consequences to him not going with the will of the people of the city. There are none. What are we going to do? Just complain on Facebook? You know, somebody said to me, "Oh, what are you going to do? Make another video on Facebook and complain?" This is what we've been diminished to, and most people are used to it. Frank is a public works guy, so that means our parks and our city streets, if nothing else, our parks should be immaculate and our streets should be smooth. So you go outside, If you live in Camden, you go look at your streets. You go look at your park. Frank is respectful. He doesn't insult people. He, as far as I know, he doesn't necessarily hold grudges like his predecessor did. But I need to see a lot more happening. I need to see him in the Black community more. I need to see him at events, whether he's socially distanced or not. I need to see him at events. He needs to be on a phone call, congratulating people, thanking people, be more active on social media. This is what I call on for him. Okay, Theo Spencer. Theo, your name is only on. I know you don't watch my show, but your name is only on my list because you always run for office. Theo ran for mayor in 2017 when I was working with Ray Landboy, who ran for mayor against Frank Moran. And so I saw Theo a lot at the events. And look, Theo would sometimes be asleep. He would be groggy. He would be distant into himself, like in the middle of events. I think some people think he's smart, so that means he has good ideas. I think some of his ideas aren't that good. He does not understand really politics because he thinks good ideas are enough to be. He's like, oh, my ideas are good. Of course, council will support me. No, they won't. You think council goes around supporting good ideas? Do you know what city you're in? Come on, man. Look, run your business. Theo, you want to be popular? You want to feel loved in this community? Then take some of that money that you have and put it into a political action committee. Take some of that money you have and start donating it to some of the organizations like Boss Mentoring or I Dare to Care and start writing checks for $1,000 to them so they can get some new stuff and maybe give stipends to their volunteers, whatever their needs may be. That's how you contribute to our city. Please stop running for office. Please stop running. You have not been able to persuade enough people that you are the best person for the job. So don't do it. You're wasting everybody's time, bro. And I know you're offended by this. Kind of don't care because this is our city. All right, and the last name on the list, Sheriff Whip Wilson. Whip Wilson ran for mayor all the way back in 2001. Whip, let me tell you two stories about Whip. One I told on social media in summary, and Whip has made fun of my deformed right hand. I'm not offended that he did it because anytime a person as an adult and another adult, especially a man that's old enough to be my father, makes fun of my deformity, which I was, born with, there's no fault of my own. It shows that he has a deep, deep, deep insecurity. There's something about himself that he really doesn't like. We can all assume and suspect what those things are he doesn't like about himself. But as sheriff, so let me first say some of this me being against Whip is personal because he personally offended me. I would forgive him for that and look past that completely because I know a lot of people that have insulted me or that I have no problem with working with because it's about getting the work done. But as sheriff, he's done nothing to support Black and brown people in our community as an elected law enforcement official. He has no policy. Go look at his Facebook page. Look at every comment. Whip is an arrogant guy. He loves talking. Go listen to the speeches that he gives. He talks about himself. He doesn't talk about you, the people. He doesn't talk about his record of what he's done to build things in our community because he doesn't have a record. He was on council. He was an assemblyman. He's now the sheriff. The last time I talked to this guy and asked him, what have you done for our people in our community? He told me about how he was a coach in the 90s. A coach. I was a coach. I was a baseball coach at Whitman Park. Do you think that makes me think I'm qualified to run for office? No. What makes me qualified is my education, my commitment to my community, my love, my ideas, willing to be able to get through it no matter what. Being willing to work with people who once were enemies, but today are allies because that's what it takes for us to get ahead. That's what makes you a successful politician. Not what you did 30 years ago. Not playing bingo with senior citizens because you know that's the pathway to victory in this city. Because they vote, because you put the voting polls right in the towers where they live. What have you done for us as Black and brown and Latino or any minority in the city or anybody in general? What I do see that you've done is you put Cooper Hospital logo on your trucks that right around downtown. I see that you do that. What I do see that you've done is when Ali Slonell and other people try to get us a fair election, nonpartisan, so being endorsed by the Democratic Party doesn't mean as much. You challenge those petitions, and those petitions may have had some issues. But why would you, as an elected official, choose to go against something? Oh, I know why. And I'm gonna tell everybody why. Because you were legitimately for an elected school board. You wanted an elected school board. I agree. I wanted an elected school board too. And you quietly behind the scenes, Sheriff Wilson, told people, why would I go against democracy of my people? I'm going to vote no. Well, people in the Democratic Party found out and they looked at you as being disloyal. How dare Whip Wilson go against us? So what you did was you overcompensated. You said, no, I'm with you guys. I'm loyal to you guys. And to prove it, I'm going to go against nonpartisan election. Well, how can you be for an elected school board, but against nonpartisan elections? It's logically irrational. But emotionally, it makes sense because this is what you need to do, Whip, to protect yourself. I know several people that work for the Sheriff's Department, Black folk in law enforcement, and not one of them defends or respects you. Not one. Not one. What does that say about a person if I can't find one person that works for you that respects you? Not one. But this is candid. And if most of us stay asleep, if we refuse to learn how to organize, work with people that we disagree with in the past, somebody like Wilson can win. Now, I don't know who makes these decisions about whether it will be Frank or Vic or Whip that's endorsed by the party. But I know this: if you are endorsed by the party, please let it be based on a set of a reasonable expectation that we have, that we can accomplish some amazing things in our city, that we can address these terrible issues that people are suffering with: hunger, homelessness, housing insecurity, depression. You read what Shay said. What are any of you doing to deal with any of these issues in the city? The county does more. I'm a small business owner. I rent where I live. I'm a parent, and the county government has done more to support me and my financial, whatever issues I have this year, than the city has at all. And somebody's going to say, oh, yeah, well, that's because the county has more resources. The county has a vision. The county knows that it has to earn its vote. The same thing is not happening in our city. I look at this list of 7 names, and you know what? It makes me sad. Because looking at this list, if you look at this list of who actually shows up, Sheila shows up, Angel shows up, and Amir shows up. So they show up. That's number one. Then the second thing is, what are their ideas? I know some of Sheila's ideas because I've talked to her the most. Angel's been into service for a long time. Amir Khan probably is the most vocal with his ideas, which is good, but it has to be attached to a team and to a coalition, a winning coalition. Because think of those numbers that I showed earlier about, look how many more votes Wasim got than Karen, that 1,000 votes. Is Amir able to get that? Are these people able to get that extra push to be able to guarantee a 2021 primary victory? We're going to see. But please, 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 if you have a strong opinion about why any of these people should not run, and you think that they will lose and that can harm our city, please let them know. Tell them. Because in Camden, we have a real bad habit in Camden of smiling in front of people's faces that will tell us they want to run for office and saying, oh yeah, I got you. Oh yeah, I support you. And that person, they believe it. And they look at the results and they got 25 votes. Look at when Keith Benson ran with his write-in campaign. In that same election, I got more votes by write-in, which I never asked anybody to write my name in, than Keith Benson did running for mayor. The father, senior. He's not senior technically, but Keith Benson senior. I agree with everybody on something at some point. Even the names on this list. Somebody at some, well, maybe not Whip Wilson, but everybody else on this list at some point, I've agreed with them. But it's not about whether I agree with you on an issue here or there. Ultimately, it's about what are you going to do to build a coalition, to raise money from inside our city, to deal with our biggest issues of poverty, of crime, of credit, of housing. I have really good ideas. I have really good ideas. I study this. This is what my life is dedicated to. And I want to disrupt this political process that we have in Camden because it does not work for thousands of people. As affordable housing expands in the suburbs, many people in our city, the magic number seems to be $42,000. Once an individual makes $42,000, their next thing to do is to get out of Camden. That's not good. People should be moving into our city, not out of our city. People want to be closer to public transportation systems. They want to be closer to downtown markets, not further away in the boring suburbs. So the election for 2021 has started. I want to just read some of the comments. Twan says, aren't you tired and disappointed with the same old people? Yes, I am. Wait, have I been sharing my screen the whole time? Well, okay. This is not completely framed right either, but whatever. Okay. Brian Gregg. Yeah. Aren't you tired and disappointed with the same old people? Yes. I would not be disappointed if, look, for one thing, believe it or not, I'm a constitutional originalist. Not like these weirdos in the Supreme Court who say it, but it's not true. Our founding fathers, when our Constitution was designed, it was not designed for people to be career politicians. Some of these people have been elected to office for a long time, like Angel Fuentes. He gloats and brags about how long he's been elected to office as though that's an accomplishment. Where are the results? You got a couple people in an award. You shake hands and show up to things. You work behind the scenes, you get a couple of people to appoint it. That's all fine and good, but it's not enough. Look at Camden. Look at the city. What have you done about the drug addiction? What have you done about the vast amount of trash, the abandoned buildings everywhere, the depression that people have, these big issues? That's what it speaks to. There's a rule in politics that when the one election is over, the very next election starts. And I'm starting this election off by telling everybody that's watching, do not let these people, including and especially those endorsed by the Democratic Party and those arrogant enough to continue to run again and again, sucking up some of that opposition vote. We can't let another election like that happen in this city again. We cannot, and I won't let it happen. I will show the receipts. I'll show you exactly where these people get their money from. I'll show you exactly what these endorsements mean. I'll show you exactly what a good campaign looks like versus a bad campaign looks like. It's an embarrassment that these people even want to stand up and think that they're leaders because they're around nothing, because they surround themselves by nobody but people that agree with them. I said something about Angel Fuentes and I tagged him on Facebook, and the guy deletes me from Facebook as a friend on all 3 of his accounts. What kind of leader is that? I'm going to tell you guys something that you may not know. You know, Frank Moran, after I made that video, and I don't say I attacked Frank, but I was certainly critical of him. You know, I had a meeting with him in his office. And Frank was just as generous and kind as he could be. Now, did he have a political motive on it? I don't know. Maybe he did. But I respect him for taking that time to reach out to me and invite me into his office. Because that's what you do. When you see somebody could be in the possible opposition, you do whatever you can to make them an ally. You don't push them away. Go read the 48 Laws of Power. You're going to destroy somebody? You want to destroy me? You better kill me. Either kill me literally or kill me metaphorically. But I will not stand back and let my city continue to be diminished, where people don't want to live here. People don't have confidence here. Or people think this is why the Democratic Party gets as many votes. A lot of this is people thinking we can't do any better. They think this is as good as Camden gets. Oh, you can't do nothing about them gangsters? They're going to be shooting up. Oh, people want to just sell drugs. I don't agree. There are things that we can do. Comments. Brian Gregg, it's always interesting to me to see local leaders support national movements or national policy proposals from people like AOC and other progressives, but they don't support or propose similar policies in their local capacity. Absolutely, Brian. What this is known as a phenomenon where you attach yourself to the most popular ideas, despite the fact that you might be a hypocrite in the process. So a lot of the Democrats in the local level in Camden are corporate Democrats. If you supported tax incentives for the 20-something companies that came into Camden, and then you supported them not paying property taxes to Camden, but you say nothing about CamdenWorks.com. You're not doing anything to make One Stop a more functional organization helping people get jobs in our city. Then I question your liberal credentials. How progressive are you? Look, Donald Norcross, I voted for Donald Norcross. Was Donald Norcross represents us in House of Representatives? If I was a representative, our voting records would be almost identical. I don't know, some people get uncomfortable because he's in the Norcross family. They think he's part of a corrupt system. In this case, I can't speak to that. What I do know is his voting record. What I do know is that when he chaired the committees the subcommittees that he chairs, he asks good questions and he's prepared. I'm not an anti-establishment and anti-Camden County or Camden City Democratic Party person. One, is the reality of the way politics is. And two, this is the system that we have. And three, many of these people are smart people with good ideas, but overall the system ain't working for us. It may be working for them because they win, but it's not working for the people. Twan Brinson, the recycling team, they have a bench, Twan. They have a bench of people that they can pick off of on any given time. And I'm saying that the opposition, because look, I'm going to give advice to everybody because I want to see who can get to the finish line first. So they have a bench of people who check certain boxes of being just good enough that they can be considered a serious candidate in our city. Felix Moliere. Amir Khan should never be mayor. Yes, I was part of his team in 2013. And trust me, he doesn't pass the smell test. Felix, that's tough. That's tough. Amir is polarizing. Like, and I told Amir this to his Pastor Khan, I told this to his face. And I like the way that Pastor Khan stood up for Rashawn Prelo, because Rashawn shouldn't have been clocked upside his head with a microphone. But I don't like how Amir Khan had a 1,000 people line up for a job for a building that wasn't even built yet with Irv Richter in 2013 and had people standing out in the hot shining sun. I don't like that. I don't like that he did that. I don't like that he records conversations, even though he can legally do it in New Jersey. I don't like that he records conversations that he has with people. I don't think, and I think more importantly, Amir Khan can't win. They will roast this guy. They will roast him. So it doesn't even matter if I agree with his policies or not. He cannot win. And therefore, he needs to take a step back. Please participate, Pastor Khan, please. But don't be a candidate. And the friends, the family, the political ally that he has or allies that he has, please tell him this. This ain't your year, bro. We're not doing this in 2021. Felix, I'm never leaving because I know the true value of Camden. I not only vote, but I invest financially. Well, Felix, if I had a nice house like you, I wouldn't leave either. Felix has a very nice house and a very nice yard. Felix is, I think, if you guys don't know Felix, maybe this doesn't matter to you, but I think he's a great example of what a great father is in our city, what a great community leader is. Felix is an elected committeeman, and he is loyal to the party. But he sees the same things that I see, that Falio sees, that Shanika sees, that anybody with two eyes can see, which is that there are some good things happening, including within the system. But there are also some bad things happening. We have to be able to talk about those bad things without being kicked out of the room. Ben Sirocco, real question. When was the last time in Camden a city council person introduced, championed, and worked to pass a piece of legislation or ordinance and actually change something in the city on the ground? Symbolic ordinances expressing support don't count. See, Ben, when you say things like this to people in city council, they're so confused because it's almost like they don't even understand the concept. So I have a few answers. One, Shanika Boucher has worked and had to continue to work to introduce things. She does not believe in she does not believe in shaming her team, and even, sorry, Shanika, but even on one-on-one conversations, Shanika is loyal to the 6 people that she serves on council with in the mayor, and she works behind the scenes to get things done within the limitations of what our local government is. Years ago, Curtis Jenkins, who's now council president, he did exactly what you're talking about, Ben. He created a human capital ordinance where any new development or any neighborhood plan that the city passed had to include a human capital component to it, which I thought was a good idea. I believe in November, there's going to be a new diversity inclusion ordinance that's introduced. And I think that this is something that a council person or two may support and push through the process. Our expectations though of council are just too low. And what most of the mayors have done is they diminish council to being like almost like, okay, well, you guys vote for stuff and that's it. Council needs to reclaim its power of saying, we're not going to support everything that the mayor suggests to us, especially with some of these people who've been named to boards and commissions. I'm very disappointed on some of the people who've been served on some of these boards, authorities, and commissions and agencies for years. They get reappointed. And then some of the, not all, some of the newer people that are appointed are only there because of they volunteered for the party a few times. And I don't think that that's enough. Next question. Shayla Maxos. Your last name is Maxos? I like that last name. There are a couple of jokes I want to tell, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Okay. I'm laughing at my own jokes though in my head. How can the citizens get more involved with transforming the city? Shayla, I don't know you. Hopefully I'm saying your name right. This is exactly the question, and I have some concrete answers. Oh, okay. I see. Okay. McEady. Okay. How can they get more involved? There are a few things. First, follow the news. So make sure you read Tap Into Camden, Courier Post, Philadelphia Inquirer, NJ Spotlight News. Just know, number one, know what's going on and be willing to, if you don't understand something, to look at what happened in the past and see if to see the context for which things happen. So number one is just be informed. I would start with that. The number two thing, oh, look at this. My tea is coming just in time. Thank you. The number two thing I can suggest after you're informed is to participate in a group. Join the NAACP. Join Facebook groups that are focused on Camden. Join advocacy organizations. I would say join. You look young enough. I would say join the Camden City Young Democrats, but they're not really around anymore, it appears. So join the South Jersey Young Democrats Black Caucus, the New Jersey, or the South. Yeah, I think I'm saying this right. I'll inbox this stuff to you, but join organizations and groups that already exist. They will not be perfect. You may be frustrated, but meet some like-minded people. Don't believe anybody full-heartedly, including me. Don't take what any of these activists say when anybody's coming across to you as being self-righteous, like they know the answer, nobody else does. That's not the way this stuff works. So don't believe the hype. All of us are trying to figure it out. All of us travel from group to group until we are linked in with a common identity in which we can support. The people that go around talking bad about other people all the time, they don't have a lot of good ideas. They're just expressing their insecurities, and they're trying to divert the attention off of themselves. So you should be leery about that type of thing. Watch the show on Sundays. Ask questions. Make sure you vote and are aware of the rules with voting, and come up with your own team. When you go to these meetings, but the third time you go to that meeting, see if you can bring 3 or 4 people with you, even if it's virtually, so that when they participate, they say, yeah, Shayla, I hope I'm saying your name right, Shayla invited me. So you can bring your people. I remember this is some of the best advice I ever got from Deborah Person Polk was don't come to these meetings by yourself. You better bring some other people because people will take you more seriously. And I think she was absolutely right. And that's one of the reasons I started Young Urban Leaders, which Felix Arthur Barclay and others were a part of, Shanika and others were a part of. Felix, become a part of board or commission on the local county level. Absolutely. Felix, that's a great idea. Andrix Afanador says, I recently was introduced to and read the book Common Sense for Camden. Great book written by the great Tom Noche, Knoche. What are your thoughts if you have read it? Oh, I guess you're talking to me. Of course I've read it. Come on, man. Of course I read that. Is it an accurate assessment of the state of Camden politics in your opinion? Our political process in Camden is not broken. It's exactly the way it was designed, but it is dysfunctional, and it is unfortunate because it doesn't speak to the issues that we need to be spoken towards. What being a Democrat on a local level almost means nothing. Only thing that being a Democrat in Camden means, it can mean two things. You can say I'm a Democrat, that means you vote for Democrats. Or you can say I'm a part of the Democratic Party, which means you're part of what's known as the establishment. It means you hang out with these guys. When I hang out with, including some of the people on the list, when I'm around some of these people, the conversation almost always diverts in the conversation about power, not about policy, about what's Samir doing over here, what's Felicia doing there, what's Brian doing, what relationship is he forming? Yo, what's up with Cakes over there? What's up with Elton? Who's he hanging out with? It's a power thing. Keith, like people name names, and it becomes a conversation of who has power, who's trying to gain power, who's making deals for power, who's backbiting, who's relationship building, who's a hypocrite, who's righteous. 85% of the conversations. And I get caught up in it. I'm not gonna lie. Every once in a while, I get caught up in those conversations too. But every once in a while, I got a whole degree based off of this. We got to focus on public policy. I'll give you an example. The voters, two out of three voters in New Jersey that voted for the constitutional question, voted for the legalization of recreational marijuana. Mayor Frank Moran has told me to my face twice that he does not support. One, he doesn't support that, and second, he doesn't support Camden issuing permits to allow recreational marijuana to be sold. Now, you guys may have seen, I went to a recreational marijuana dispensary in Salem, Massachusetts, a few days ago while I was in Massachusetts. I did some I was doing research there. I was doing research there. And in doing the research, the place was in a shopping center and they had some security rules. They had security outside. I went in and I ordered it online. I went in and got my order and I did my thing legally. I followed all the rules. The mayor thinks that it's bad for Camden to have the selling of recreational marijuana legally. I disagree with them. I think that there's so many drug sets where people sell marijuana anyway. Let's see if we can flip some of these people into being entrepreneurs, or at least get them in the retail space, right? These are public policy conversations that we must have. I have no idea what our elected officials, except for Frank, feel about any of this, because they never speak on any of this stuff, and they really don't have to. He doesn't even support medical dispensaries. He stated, look, I don't get it. I can't speak up for these people. I can't defend them. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I want to assume that they have good intentions. Felix, obsession with power but lack of purpose is the scary part. Absolutely. Some of these people are, Keisha, what's the word you use to describe me sometimes? Narcissists. Some of these people are narcissists, but unlike, I don't know what y'all got going in your life. In my life, I got people that tell me, Sean, you're being egotistical. You're being a narcissist. Calm the fuck down. And I calm myself down. Right? Because all of us, Martin Luther King Jr. talks about this. He calls it the drum major instinct. All of us have, at some point in our lives, have a need, have a desire to be like, I want to be up in front. I want to be in the front and the center. And Martin Luther King, read this. Go look online and look up, I see you there, Keish. look up the Drum Major Instinct and read that essay by Martin Luther. It's either an essay or a speech, but I've read it. I never actually heard him say it, but read it. And you'll see that it's okay to have the Drum Major Instinct. It's okay to want to be that person marching in front. But what are you marching your people towards? An old friend of mine used to say it's like the dog that chases the truck. Like you chase it now once you get it, what are you going to do with it? Some of you people want power for power's sake because it makes you feel good about yourself. Your wife didn't love you. She's not turned on by you anymore. You're funny. You lost your body. You look in the mirror. You don't like what you see. And you need some validation. So you decide, oh, I can get involved in politics. And if thousands of people check the box next to my name, that must mean I'm a great person. That's not what it means. That's not what it means. It means those people are confused. They probably didn't know what the fuck they were voting for. That's what it means. Let's be real. Most of you people that win, you won because you were endorsed by the Democratic Party. And as you know, these 40 members of the Camden City Committee were never asked. They were never given an option. 3 or 4 people select these people that run. And every once in a while, we get somebody like Shanika, who's a righteous sister that don't give no fucks and will challenge the police department and stand up for what's right. Every once in a while. And you get somebody like Sheila Davis, who I love dearly, but still trying to figure out her way of how much can she get along with these people versus not get along with them. And I have to tell it as I see it, because by the way, the opposition is no better. Everything they did last year that allowed Elton to win should have been done this year, and it wasn't because of arrogance, because of egos. And these people that lose elections should not be taken seriously anymore. I'm going to be arrogant again for a second and say, I've won several elections as a campaign manager or as a campaign consultant, both in and out of Camden. Both in and out of Camden. Not one person in Camden that ran this year was willing to have a conversation with me about how to win, with the exception of Aaron Cooper, to his credit. And look, I'm not saying it's because of me. I think it's more so because of him and what he brings to the table, but he got a couple hundred more votes than the other 2 people that he ran with. That's not a coincidence. All right, let me get back into the comments. In a city with a cancer center makes no sense. Ben, I'm not sure when you said that because I'm not reading the comments when they pop up, but whatever it is, you're right. Probably doesn't make any sense. Felix, why I love your significant other. She keeps it a million with you. All right, Felix, calm down. Yeah, I keep it real with her too. All right. A campaign cannot be run just on raw passion with no direction. No, it cannot. What happens is in Camden is we don't give enough credit. We don't give enough credit that although Frank could probably be a better mayor, he rarely, I think only one time I can think of a time that he actually embarrassed us as a city. When he said the thing to Phil Murphy about, oh, you're not welcome to Camden. I'm like, Frank, come on, bro. What are you saying this for? Who thinks this is a good idea for you to say? Other than that, he does not embarrass the city. Neither did Dana Rent when she was mayor. He's not embarrassing people. These are people who believe in carrying themselves a certain way, right? We can't I don't want to demonize Frank, Vic, Sheila, Angel, Curtis, because we need them to be the best people that they can be, and we need them to feel supported, the best ideas. But they also need to feel challenged. This is the time, November, December, this is the time that the current elected officials or anybody that wants to run, impress us. Impress us. I will bring receipts. I'm going to show where the money comes from. I'm going to show the process. I'm going to show the research of who's voting and who's not voting. You guys possibly heard 3 weeks ago when I interviewed Joey Deal of HBN, Hustle by Nature, and it said, who's reaching out to you as a young man, a 23-year-old who has a vast network of other people your age? And he said, nobody. He should have said nobody but me because I reached out to him. But nobody, none of the elected officials. Come on, y'all. But they didn't reach out to him because they know they don't need to. Because they know they got enough people who are loyal to them that it doesn't matter. And this is where we are. This is the kind of city that we have. Well, we can change it. And I think we will change it. We're going to change it by having a coalition of people who believe in the democratic process, who believe that the Democratic Party has an important role to play in that democratic process. It cannot be avoided, no matter how inconvenient it may be for some. We have to accept the reality that most of the money that we raise for candidates will not come from people who live in our city. And that means that outside suburban or corporate interest is always going to play a game in the direction of Camden. And we must realize that it's not okay. I always feel like I'm not sitting straight. Like my, oh yeah, I guess because this is smaller. I like looking at myself, feeling, look, I feel self-conscious too, sometimes. Anyway, look, earlier, in case you just tuned in, earlier I showed the school board election numbers, and I'll just pull this up again real quick, just in case you just tuned in. But earlier I showed the school board election numbers and showed how Wasim, Karen, and Clayton won. Karen had about 1,000 votes less than Wasim and Clayton. Karen is a mom too, and I'm sure some of those times that they were out beating the streets, she had to be home just being a good mother to her children. And I wish them success. But anyway, look at the numbers. We're going to continue to analyze. Hopefully by next week, if not the week, hopefully by next week we can have a more numbers because I want to see how many people voted for Trump. I want to and all that. I will be going live or putting videos up throughout the week, and from now on, I'm trying to increase this platform. Thank you for tuning in. I'm going to ask, you do not have to like me personally to receive the information that I'm giving. So if you happen to know me, but for whatever reason, like I annoyed you or whatever, sometimes please don't let that get in the way of the information. Because I promise you, I'm not going to give you any information. If it's an opinion, you're going to know it's my opinion, which is informed by facts. And if it's facts, I'm going to show you exactly where I get those facts from. I'm going to show you the source of the information. You can verify it on your own time. We got to do better. We got to be better. We got to accomplish more. We got to help the most vulnerable, because the most vulnerable around us, they're not voting. They're not civically engaged because they're worrying about where their next meal, where their next check, where their next room is coming from. I know for a fact we have young people in our city right now that are dealing with rape and incest in our own homes by a step parent, an older sibling, with people who are hungry, people who can't find a good place to sleep. People are dealing with all sorts of addiction, depression. And if our elected and appointed officials aren't doing anything of significance to deal with those issues, if we find ourselves working around the politicians instead of working with them, then that lets us know that we must have a political awakening in our city that cannot be based on any strategy that we've seen yet, because none of them, with the exception of Elton Custis getting elected to the school board, have been successful. And Elton is an anomaly. He's popular with the older generation because he goes up to their stuff with his mom's generation, his grandparents' generation, the younger generation because he shows up to younger people's stuff, and our generation because Elton and I are the same age. Aaron got more votes because he is out about in the community and he doesn't go around offending people. He returns phone calls. He doesn't hold grudges. Janelle, this is something that you should pay attention to if you want to run for office again. I don't know who's saying this to you guys to your face. Some of you don't answer my phone calls. I'm not trying to tell you. So I'm using this platform in a way to tell you to your face that you all need to step the fuck up. We need to get this city under control. These gangsters need to put their fucking guns down. But we also need to make sure that we have something to replace their living with, because they're only making money because people are buying pills and heroin and crack in our city. So we need to get the gangsters under control. We need to get the politicians under control. And we need to get the men to step up more. And we need to make sure parents feel supported. That's where we are. I'm going to read the last few comments and comment, and then I'm done. I'm so well over my time, but you have hung in there. You have watched. You have participated. I'm going to just show this real quick, just in case you missed it. Earlier I showed. Oh, there we go. Earlier I showed who might run for mayor. Councilman Vicar Starford might run. He may not know himself. He might be surprised to see his name on the list, as everybody might. Sheila Davis, Angel Fuentes, Amir Khan, Frank Moran, Theo Spencer, Whip Wilson. If you think I'm missing anybody on this list that you think might run, let me know. I'll think about it. I might add them to the list, and I'll refresh it on social media. Let me finish up with the comments. Let me finish up with the comments real quick, and then this will be it for the day. The party is tiresome. We need to start from the bottom. Yeah, I mean, the party has some issues, Twan, but they're also successful, and they raise money and they win almost always. So there's that too. And then we need to start from the bottom. I'm really curious to know who we are, because there's a lot of fragmentation and there's a lot of division in the so-called opposition. There isn't a party, but when it comes to time for them to get together to vote, they do it. Okay. Hendricks, when do you think it's necessary to work within the current structure to affect real change, or is it possible to build an independent challenge to the status quo? You know, Mr. Fanador, every time you write something, I like it. I mean, I think you're asking a profound and important question. I do have some thoughts on it. I don't want to answer that on this platform. I think that's better for a small group conversation. Let's look at the data, though. Let's look at the data. Let's look at the numbers. Let's have an unemotional conversation about this and figure out what that pathway is. Because I know I've tried both ways, and in many ways I've been a little successful both ways, but I've also definitely failed both ways. So let's see if there's a third way. And I think you're right on it. And the point you're making is I mean, it's you're asking a great question, and I think we should dig into it. Aaron Cooper, I believe it's definitely possible to build an independent. Oh, you're answering. Okay. It's definitely possible to build an independent challenge to the status quo, but people need to drop their egos and stop seeking titles for validation and actually listen and learn from each other. Most in our community don't plan to organize around specific solutions. That is very true. I agree with you, Aaron. I think that's great feedback. Look, you've probably heard me say this before, and I guess this will be my last comment. One of the things that I've realized is that before I can make my community better, I gotta make myself better. I must find balance within myself. I need to have a good diet. I need to exercise. I need to get good sleep. I need to get sleep. I need to stay focused to building my own business and make sure I'm checking up on my own family and friends before I can do anything for anybody else. And the validation that people need is often to deflect from their own internal issues and turmoil that they have within their own homes, within their own lives. And this is where our friends and our family have to tap us on the shoulder and say, this might not be your time. This may not be the thing for you to do right now. And it's a tough conversation, but people need to have it. And this is one of the reasons why a few folks don't like me, is because I'm willing to say to a person's face, I don't think you're the person. Let me tell you a story about this real quick. And then I keep saying this, but okay, I'm going to go there. Many years ago, gosh, what year? This has to be, would this be 2013 or 2009? This is probably 2009. Yes, this has to be 2009. Oh, yeah. It is 2009. I'm sitting in a church. I guess it would be like a lecture hall, classroom space, long table in it in East Camden. It was the third time the group had met. Keith Benson, the father, Pastor Tim Merrill, one of my favorite people in the world, and a few other older men brought together young men, including myself. I think Terrell Brown was there at the time. I didn't know Rashawn Prelo at the time, but it's possible he was there. But young men from the city to talk about politics. And the first 2 or 3 meetings were great, actually. I was very encouraged. I was very excited at what I saw. The third meeting, and in the second meeting, they're like, we all need to coalesce around a candidate for mayor. I said, listen, at this point in 2009, for 9 years, I've been working on election. I said, look, I've heard people say that before. And on the point really that Hendricks just said, we need to come up with an agenda. We need to have policies and agenda that we support first, and then present that to a whole bunch of people and see who's most likely to support our agenda before we go back in somebody. Most people in the room agreed. The very next meeting, Keith Benson brings Whip Wilson to the meeting, and I'd already had several bad experiences with Whip Wilson at the time, and says, "Hey guys, this is our guy. This is our guy for mayor. This is our guy for mayor." I'm like, what? You never got group buy-in. I have some serious concerns, and I'm sitting there like, oh my God, this man is presenting this to these young people, and these young people, I don't know, I can say they're gullible, but they may have some trust with Keith, and they might end up backing Whip, which I think is a bad idea for mayor. And again, this is for mayor in 2009. I slowly raise my hand. I'm nervous. My heart is beating. And I'm like, look, I got to go there. I got some concerns about this guy. And I within a few seconds, I lay out my concerns about Whip Wilson, who's standing right there, 15 feet away from me, next to Keith Benson. So Keith Benson calmly looks at me and says, "So Sean, are you saying that you don't trust Whip Wilson?" And I'm like, I took a deep breath. I'm like, am I going to say yes or something else? I'm like, yes, I'm saying I don't trust Whip Wilson. He sits there with a stupid grin on his face. And the room got cold and silent and uncomfortable. There was a lot of tension in the room. I swear to God, 2 days later, as this man is standing in front of this group, gently implying that he wants our endorsement for him to run for mayor in 2009, 2 days later, he's announced as a candidate for the state assembly running with the Democratic Party. He's not a trustworthy person. If you make fun of a person's deformity, if you have no record to show as sheriff, if you betray your own friends and making them think you're with them when you're with somebody else, and you're in your 70s, these are not a good combination of what we need in Camden. Everybody, whether he's your fucking cousin, your neighbor, or whatever, everybody needs to let him know, no, bro, you ain't running. And unfortunately, Pastor Khan, you need to hear the same message. Don't run. Don't even think about it. Don't have exploratory committee meetings. End it right now. End it right now. You are not the ones. Now, do I know who the ones are? I don't, unfortunately. But I know it's not them. I'm Sean Brown. I'm the Urban Disruptor. Talk about this. Share the video. Let people see it. I want to see our city get better. I want to see good leaders. I don't care if you're endorsed by the Democratic Party or not. I don't care if you think you're with the machine, out of the machine. I want to see us do better. I want to see good politics. Congratulations, Minister Muhammad. Congratulations, Detective Gonzalez, and congratulations to Karen Merrick's. Get together with education, figure some stuff out. I know you're serious when you call me. I'm just gonna say it. Have a good day. Have a good day, everybody. Take care. Hello?
Oh, you just got done now?
Yeah, I'm about to end it. I'm gonna end it.
Call me later.
No. Just stay on.